Now, this is probably one of the more mainstream book reviews I'm going to do. This is Raven Rock by Garrett M. Graff. This, I think I heard this guy interviewed on NPR, and the way he described the way he came into his book idea was really exciting to me. So of course, me being me, I ran out and ordered his book. He claims he had I can't remember if it was him or if it was a friend of his that found a badge of belonging to someone who worked in government service. And on the back of the badge was a map. And he or this other guy followed this map to its location, and it led him to like a dead-end road up to some kind of mountain. And he realized he was at the entrance to some secret bunker facility. And that, of course, led him to start looking into the continuity of government program. So that's what this is really about. Despite the salacious title there of The Story of the U.S. Government's Secret Plan to Save Itself While the Rest of Us Die, this is really a pretty mainstream telling of the kind of nuclear story of the advent of the continuity of government program and FEMA and all of that. I had heard that this book might mention some details about some of the more secret facilities, but sadly, I couldn't really find. Most everything in this is already kind of old territory, and that makes sense. This guy being a fairly mainstream author, I seriously doubt whatever facility he was led to on that badge. I'm inclined to think it was Peters Mountain, but he never really does say what facility that is. Anyway, this is, if you are curious about continuity of government, FEMA, and all that, I'll actually link at the end of this to, I think, a little better quality book on that subject. This is okay, but it's really, this is definitely the kind of general public layman's version of continuity of government. Very basic information. It is fascinating history, but there's a lot of stuff on this that, for this audience, that will be very frustrating to hear, like where he talks about the Gulf of Tonkin incident and just kind of breezes right over that without explaining all the things we now know about some of these major incidents, that he kind of repeats the party line on the historical narrative of some of these things. But again, if you're into the FEMA, into trying to figure out FEMA and stuff like that, I'll link to a book at the end of this about the shadow government that I think is a much better information on how that all works. This is okay. It's a little wordy and a little longer than it really needs to be, because so much of this is kind of going over territory that, if you're watching this channel, you probably know 75% of what's in this already. And it's very frustrating because it's very obviously shoring up the official narrative on so many things, like 9/11, the Vietnam War, the Cuban Missile Crisis. All of the standard topics are presented here in their official form, and that's a little frustrating. So, but again, not terrible, but not great either. So I'll leave it there. But if you were wondering about getting this, as far as I could tell, there was nothing in this really earth-shattering that I was like, wow, I've never read that before. So that's kind of my benchmark for whether or not to recommend something. But this was published in 2017. And it's kind of funny reading this now. One thing I did think about reading this now is, in light of all the things happening with Ukraine and Russia, it makes you wonder if a book like this would even get published right now, because he does talk about so much of the nuclear planning and that sort of thing. But again, this is all the official side of that. This is the official story on what the nuclear planning and posture is. So I'll stop there, but that is Raven Rock by Garrett M. Graff.